Okay, Joan?
Hello, everybody. My name is Joan Qualls. I am the founder and owner of Tasteful Voyages Travel. I have a travel agency based in the San Diego area, and I specialize in luxury travel with an emphasis on food and beverages. And I'm here tonight with my colleague Richard Bravo of AmaWaterways. You are probably familiar with European river cruises, which a lot of people may have been on or want to go on, but you may not be as familiar with some of the more exotic destinations that are offered by the different river cruise companies. A couple weeks ago, we highlighted sailing in Egypt, and tonight we're going to be talking about sailing in Southeast Asia, specifically in Cambodia and Vietnam on the Mekong River. And this trip is really awesome because there are really nice land extensions that you can do either before or after the river cruise, if that is something that you would be interested in doing. Personally, I have not been to either Vietnam or Cambodia. I was in Thailand about 10 years ago and just loved that little corner of the world. And I'm really curious to get back and see more. And I know a couple people who have experienced this particular itinerary, and everybody has said that it's a life-changing experience. So I am hoping to put together a group in 2023 to go sailing on this trip. And I really hope that you enjoy the presentation. We can't travel right now, but we can certainly dream about traveling when we're able to. And that's why we're doing this, is just to have a little travel candy during these days when we're stuck sheltering in place at home. So Richard, with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you so much for that introduction. I love that little phrase you use there about travel candy, because really this is a way just to kind of stay in front of you and keep you inspired and, educate you in some of the different destinations, at least in this case that AmaWaterways gets to travel. We're operate 4 different rivers and waterways. We have like 33 different itineraries. We're in 3 different continents. So a lot of different options for you to consider. But I just want to start by saying thank you for taking the time to join us. We know there's so many things going on. We know that right now people are doing these, virtual meetings and virtual events, certainly more than ever. So again, thank you so much for taking the time. Today, this is really just going to be an overview on this amazing destination, the Mekong River between Vietnam and Cambodia. There's some wonderful pre and post options. I'll be talking to that. But I did want to start by saying, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat box, and we'll do our best to answer those. If not throughout the presentation, then we'll make sure we're certainly addressing them at the end of the presentation, but I encourage you to do so. And without further ado, we will just begin moving right through this presentation. So again, today we're going to be talking about the Mekong River and really just exploring the history, the culture, the traditions, as well as the local cuisines of Southeast Asia. I know even you, Joan, for being there in Thailand. I've had a chance to go to Thailand as well too, and the cuisine is amazing. The people are, I think, genuinely some of the most warmest, most hospitable people probably on the globe. They're just amazing, wonderful people. So this journey that
my takeaway from Thailand is when my experience there, that was the most hospitable culture that I've ever had the pleasure of spending time with. Honest to God, the people there, all they wanted was for me and my daughters to have a beautiful stay in their country. And
yeah.
so it's good to hear that that was your experience as well.
Definitely. Just one last comment on that too, and maybe this is something that really applies to us, especially with everything going on just in the world, in our country right now. But that selflessness and that that I think really ties into that hospitality. I think is just something for all of us to take note of, right? But so we're going to be experiencing this. We have 2 sailings on the Mekong. We actually have the charms of the Mekong, and we also have riches of the Mekong. The key difference is that they're operating in both 2 different directions. But this journey is going to take us through some big cities, to some rural villages, to historic pagodas, to monasteries, from the day markets to the night markets, to gourmet cuisine, to street food delicacies. I mean, it's going to be across the board. And then there's a beautiful Amadara, which is our ship that sails in this area, and I'll be talking about her in just a few slides down the road also. But I did want to stop briefly just to share a little bit about our company history. It's a family-owned and operated company. On July 1st of this year, we actually celebrated 18 years. And here's a look at our owners. This is Rudy Schreiner. It's his beautiful, lovely wife, Christine Karst. And then Gary Murphy, our senior VP and also co-owner. And, I could share a number of things with each one of them, about each one of them. They're each wonderful. They've been in the industry for a number of years. The one part that I'll say, though, is that, in putting AmaWaterways together, the one thing that remains at the forefront is that this is something that they want to, whenever they're looking to create something, they want it to be an experience that they themselves would want to go on time and time again, that they themselves would want to refer their friends and family to join. Gary Murphy is an example. This itinerary happens to be his favorite itinerary. He'll share that if you speak with him. He takes his family in one of our Christmas market sailings every year. So they have really created what they wanted to, what they set out to create. The other part that I would just say is that there's a lot of thoughtfulness that goes into every detail of these trips that they're curating. The one short example I'll share is that when I joined AmaWaterways, I had a chance to meet with a number of people on the team. One of those team members was our VP of product development, and I happened to walk in on a conversation that he was having with a teammate, talking about one specific itinerary, one specific sailing, and one specific moment of one day. And it was around the idea of how if they did X, Y, and Z, it was going to impact the guest experience because they were going to feel that they needed to rush through their lunch and they're going to miss some of the scenery and things. But that was one moment on one itinerary. And this sort of thought goes into every detail with every part of the way that, the package that we're putting together for you. So I just really wanted to emphasize that. I want to also share a quick video before we get rolling here. And we did test this, so it should run properly. But let me just pull this up for you. This is just a nice little overview to give you some insight as to really what the Mekong River sailing is about. So I'll play this right now, and I'll come back in just a moment.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. So hopefully you enjoyed that. I think it gave you a really good look at some of the different, certainly what it's like on board the ship at some of those amazing places that you get to stop at. The ship is absolutely beautiful. Let's move through. I want to share this next slide, which shows a map and kind of an overview here of where we go. So I did mention before, that we offer two itineraries that are quite similar, with the primary difference being that one travels northbound, the other one travels southbound, and this is between Kampong Chan to Mito. Our northbound sailing is the Charms of the Mekong, and the other one going southbound is actually Riches of the Mekong. Note that every one of our sailings also, not only on the Mekong River, but anywhere that AmaWaterways travels, that you always have the opportunity to extend your stay with some of our pre and post options or land options, right? So if you're going to travel this far, you may as well take in some of the encompassing area. A number of different packages that you can look to really extend here, that being Siem Reap in Cambodia. We have Bangkok, Thailand. There's Holland Bay, Ho Chi Minh City, and also Hanoi, Vietnam. Hanoi is this vibrant city in the capital of Vietnam. In fact, just in 2010, they celebrated their millennial anniversary. So it's been capital for quite some time. But these pre and post packages allow you to extend this 7-day cruise if you wanted to, all the way out to 16 days and 15 nights. You can really, really take in all that there is to see in that area. So we're going to start off with this one in Ho Chi Minh City, commonly known as Saigon, of course. And it's a city in southern Vietnam, and also the most populous, with an estimated 13 million residents, as well as about 8 million motorbikes to accompany that. So lots to do and explore in this really energetic city. This tall building that you see in this picture right here off to the right of this image, this is a financial building, and it's within easy walking distance from the hotel located in the French Quarter, which is where we stay. And if you can see just at the top there, there's that small little platform sticking out to the left of this building near the top. Excuse me, that's a helipad. And near this is a really popular watering hole called the Eon Heli Bar, where you can grab a refreshing drink such as the Saigon Fizz, which is one that they're known for. It's a local favorite. It's this heady, sparkling type concoction with Tanqueray gin, if you like Tanqueray gin, mint, and then some lime juice. But far more breathtaking than the drink, I would say, is the inspiring views from 52 stories up. You'll have an opportunity to, enjoy this amongst a number of other things when you, join one of our pre and post packages. The other part that I would add that's really important is that with every pre and post package, your AmaWaterways cruise manager will be there with you for that part of the trip. So not only do you want to get in town a little bit earlier to let your body kind of get caught up to the time zone. Joan, I know you've traveled a lot. Perhaps you've made the same mistake I've made in the past where you think I'm just going to, travel out on that day and I'm going to start my trip, and you get there and that first whole day just seems to be like you're just trying to get your marbles in order too. So I'd encourage you to get there at least a couple of days before. But again, the cruise manager is there. He'll lead you on some different excursions. He's there to point you in the right direction and just make some recommendations and suggestions for you along the way to just really make sure you're taking full advantage of everything that there is to do. One of our excursions when in Ho Chi Minh City is going to be a trip to the historic post office that we see right here in this picture. This was built during the French colonial times, the Saigon Central Post Office, and it's really known as one of the most impressive post offices throughout Southeast Asia. It's often been attributed that Gustave Eiffel, who of course was the architect and designer of the Eiffel Tower, created this, but it was actually Marie-Alfred Falhouy, Saigon's acclaimed architect-in-chief, who actually designed this building. But this next slide, we'll get a glimpse inside of just how beautiful it is. It was constructed between 1886 and 1891. But once inside, you can see these beautiful looping arches, just these intricate designs, the marble floors, the antiquated telephone boxes, that all just kind of really serve as a reminder of the importance of the post office, and really that it played back in the day before the mobile phones that we have now and the quick connection to Wi-Fi. Another wonderful stop will be at the Notre Dame Cathedral, and we'll have an opportunity to stop there. This was actually constructed with all materials directly from France, so that alone makes it pretty impressive. It was officially named the Cathedral Basilica of Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception. The cathedral was constructed between 1863 and 1880 and is known for its distinctive bell towers that we see right here in this photo as well. So quite a lot to do there. The other part that I would mention with every stop along the way, I talked about the curation. Part of that curation process is to make sure we're allowing our guests some free time as well. So we're going to give you some options of shore excursions. It could be anywhere from 3, 4, even up to 5 in some cities to choose from. So we're going to give you a choice. And in addition to that, we're going to make sure that we can allow giving you some free time also just to go out and explore and see some things on your own that you'd like to see. Another wonderful popular visit here includes the stop at the famous Phu Chi tunnels. This is this amazing extensive underground network of tunnels that stretches, I think it's approximately 150 miles. Communist forces actually began digging these way back in the 1940s in southern Vietnam. But during the War of Independence from the French Colonial Authority, that's when we started building them. But these were dug by hand only in just a short distance at that time. So you can imagine 150 miles, just how long this actually took to create. A bit later, of course, they were actually used by the North Vietnamese during the Vietnam War, and it helped them to really kind of operate more covertly, move supplies and troops and things. But they had hospitals down here. And it's actually estimated that upwards of about 1,200 families lived down here at one point in time. And here's just another look inside, another angle, just to kind of see how those tunnels look from within inside. So here's an opportunity to stop here as well. And then we will board our home away from home, the beautiful Amadara, also known affectionately as the Love Star. This beautiful vessel is built in 2015 and has 62 staterooms, holds a maximum of 124 passengers and maximum occupancy, and it's an all balcony ship. So every room has its own private balcony, which is a really big deal, right? So you can enjoy, a private glass of wine in the evening, take in the scenery. Just nice to have that private space also. The decor is absolutely beautiful. We've seen a few other slides. This is wonderful French colonial design, but with these beautiful, like locally inspired, richly carved woods. One of the things, though, that really sets AmaWaterways apart on any sailing, any part of the world, is our crew. And when I talk about our crew, I mean everybody on board. I'm talking about the hotel manager. I'm talking about the servers in the restaurants, the people that are behind the scenes that you don't even see to make sure that all your shore excursions are going to go off without a hitch. But I would say probably more often than not, it's going to be the cruise managers. Again, they're the ones that are going to be leading different discussions and teaching about the history and the culture. Each evening, they may be giving some, conversations on the next day's ports of call and what their shore excursions are going to be. And again, really there just to kind of point you in the right direction. I will also add, but yes, please, Joan.
I just wanted to point out just a couple touches of the hospitality in the picture on the left, the one that has the banner that says amazing crew. Apparently the day the photo was taken, it was kind of muddy, and they have cardboard laid down so that the guests aren't going to get muddy walking up to the gangplank. And then over on the right, the guy with the umbrellas, he's got to be a local tour guide because he's got over his other shoulder what they call the lollipop, which are the little signs that they hang up to keep the tour groups together. But even the fact that he's holding the umbrellas, I mean, that's a perfect representation of how gracious the crew are on all the AmaWaterways ships. And one of the things that's really nice is when you are on an AmaWaterways ship, when you get back to the ship, the crew always says welcome home, and you feel like you are coming home. From the first day when you get on and you check in with the crew, they know who you are, and it's really a lovely experience. And I would imagine on this ship with only 124 passengers, it's even more so because there's fewer passengers for the crew to get to know. So carry on, Richard. Thank you.
No, excellent points. Please continue to contribute. I mean, I know you know about the AMA experience as well, having been on board also. So that's great information to share. Thank you. The other part, Joan, that I know you would agree is that the food on board is absolutely amazing. So here's some pictures of the cuisine, certainly local cuisine. You may find some local thing or some more staple things, North American cuisine on some of them as well as an option. But for us, it's a really big part. And I think anybody, whenever they're traveling, you want to have what the locals are having. So we're going to do that in first class style. This particular restaurant that we see in this photo up here, this is our chef's table restaurant. This is a wonderful 6-course meal, but within each of those courses, you're going to get several options. So it's not a set 6-course meal. You're going to get up to maybe 4 different wine pairings with that. The chef and his team are kind of off behind this cooking station. You can see them preparing the food, plating the food, bringing it out. It's my favorite experience on board the ship just because I'm a foodie. I love food, I love experiencing new things all the time, and they just do it in a really amazing way. But in addition to our chef's table restaurant, which before I finish that though, it's an alternative dining experience, but this is included. There's no additional charge for this. So you just get on board, you make your reservations, you're all set. We get a lot of people that sign up to visit the second time as well. By comparison, we also have our main dining room, and that operates a little bit more as your progressive dining experience. So as we're pulling into some of the different ports along the way between Cambodia and Vietnam, we're going to have some of those local cuisines from those different areas on board the menu. So that would be one of the primary differences, but we'd like to give you some choices along the way.
I wanted to jump in here and add that
Yeah.
last year I had the opportunity to go on a Christmas market sailing on the Rhine with a dear friend of mine who has many severe food sensitivities. And we had let the cruise company know before we even left the States about her various allergies. But when we got on board, the restaurant manager met with her and went over a detailed list of all her food sensitivities. And every single day he would meet with her first thing in the morning to review the menu, the set menu for that day, to figure out if she was going to be able to eat anything that was on board. And if she couldn't, they prepared something to order for her. And that was just like a really awesome experience. I know that's something that a lot of people are concerned about is with different allergies, and pretty much everything is cooked fresh anyway. So it's really not a problem for them to cook things to order if that's something that is required by a guest.
That's right. Yes, we really want to make sure that we're able to cater to each individual need. And if there is a special dining request to you, like Joan was just referring to, just let us know in advance and we'll plan for that. But even in instances where we may not know, there are things that we can immediately plan en route, if you will. So that's great. And then the local onboard entertainment. So there's our main lounge area, which kind of operates as the main. It's the living room of the ship. It's kind of the main gathering place where people go and kind of share their stories of things that they experienced throughout the day. But we'll bring on a lot of local entertainment too. For example, the dancers that we see right here. We may bring on some local musicians, but even in addition to this, and the fact that they do their best to kind of get some of the guests involved on these different times as well, it kind of turns into a full-blown disco in the evening, and pretty much stays open till the last person leaves. But it's just a fun social gathering place. And I still tie it back to what Joan mentioned earlier, to use the word family. That's a really big part. You'll see that in a lot of our promotional material because, as I talked about Rudy, Gary, and Christine, these are things that are important to them, that whole idea of family. We really want our guests to feel that when they're on board an AmaWaterways cruise. And then there's our twin balcony staterooms. I did not mention before, but our co-founder and owner there, Rudy, is actually an architect by trade. And he's actually designed all the ships we have on the water, with the exception of like one or two that we've kind of taken and then redesigned. But the twin balcony stateroom was actually his idea, and the first ones in the industry to have both a French balcony and a full step-out balcony, where you get the best of both worlds. So that French balcony that we see off to the right here in this picture, if you consider the time of year that you may be traveling, if sometimes might be a little bit cooler and sometimes a bit hotter, you have that comfortable sitting area within the stateroom, but that glass window still opens up. It's all against the railing right there, so you still get some wonderful views from inside. But then you have the full step-out balcony as well. You can enjoy some coffee in the morning, some wine in the evening, and just a great way, both options, to really take in the scenery and the whole experience. We've also got the sun deck. You are going to definitely spend some time up here, especially in a more tropical destination. Definitely take your bathing suit here because we have a pool on board. Lots of great areas to kind of go and sit around. We got some ceiling fans with a lot of covering too to stay out of the direct sun. But just taking in the sunset in a location like this, or if you're an early bird like myself, taking in that sunrise, it's just a great place to spend some time. Maybe find a nice kind of little private area. And one of my favorite places to kind of go in, again, just kind of enjoy the scenery and looking out. And then, of course, as we move through the itinerary a bit, right? So we talked about once we've been on board, we'll get you situated and get off to your room and get everything in place there. Then we'll continue on. Kai Bay is an area that we'll stop at also. Long River, this is a small district, Kai Bay here. And so here we're going to have an opportunity to visit and shop, basically doing what a lot of the locals do. So this is where many of the local families have made their living for generations, of trading, selling goods, anything from fruits and vegetables and spices and to different drinks like the snake wine that we have here, to the famous caramel coconut candies also. In fact, talking on the snake wine for just a moment, it's this alcoholic beverage that they produce by infusing the whole snake in this rice wine, or this like grain alcohol. The snake venom proteins are unfolded by the ethanol, bringing into a level that's safe to drink. And we'll have an opportunity to actually visit where they actually produce this from start to finish. We'll see that process. And if you're brave enough to taste this one, we'll have a chance to do that as well. Another place that we're going to have a chance to stop at also in Kai Bay is the Handmade Candy. So as well as the popped rice. So there's popped rice, they pour it in this really hot pan with some sand, stir it up with some rice in there as it kind of starts to pop. Then they mix it with the sugar, ginger, and pour it into these molds that then they cut in these pieces that you can eat. Then there's the coconut candy that I mentioned also. So there's cooked mixture of coconut water, salt, sugar, some other ingredients for flavor, and they cool it off and cut it into these bite sizes. We'll get to experience it also. So again, we want everything to be this immersive, unique experience. You can't just go around the corner when you're back home and experience. You have to experience this while you're there with the locals in a really genuine way. And this slide right here, feasting on the local dishes. This is actually Gary right here, if you recognize him from that earlier slide. Again, mentioning this is his favorite destination. It's immersive. You get to learn about the history of the culture. You get to be right up in front with these people. Going forward, there's, with all of our itineraries, there may be a few things here and there we'll need to modify, but I'll share this quick note that, we've even had some things in the past where you could even go out on an excursion and have dinner with a local family at their home and things like that. So those type of things may not be the same going forward, but I share it just to let you know that this is one of those experiences that is going to be really, really up close and personal. The transportation. So that's big on any trip that we do. That's certainly going to be big with AmaWaterways, not only on board the ship, of course, but all the local transportation, whether it's motor coach, whether it's enjoying a ride right here on the rickshaws, or hopping in a tuk-tuk, or maybe even an ox cart in different areas. This particular one it's a really cool picture, but there's another area on this particular stretch that's right along the river, and it's about as scenic as you can get, as you're in your own private rickshaw, just kind of going along the Mekong River right here. Again, you just can't recreate those type of moments. And then in Tan Chau, another opportunity to stop here, where we're going to visit some of the local workshops and just kind of see how they put together these different weave projects and things. But again, it's that up close, right in the middle of that experience that we get to enjoy. Phnom Penh, stopping at the National Museum, is going to be another opportunity. So continuing on our way, we're going to make our way to Phnom Penh here. This city is the royal palace here, which is still the residence of the king, as a matter of fact. Was named after a Buddhist temple, Wat Nam. It stood high atop the city here since the 14th century. So definitely some history here that we're going to be able to learn about as well. And just a couple of other, also a couple other things that I want to mention also. In getting here, we are going to enjoy that tuk-tuk ride also. We're going to visit the largest museum, the Cultural History Museum. It's the county's leading history museum. It's basically going to be around all the archaeological things from the area. It's actually got the largest Khmer art collection. If you're familiar with Khmer art, also they're going to have the largest collection here that we'll get to visit as well. Some of this dates back to the Khmer Empire back in the early 800s, I think like 802. So wonderful opportunity to take in some history there. And then another opportunity also in Phnom Penh includes a chance to visit the Memorial of the Killing Fields. Now, we recognize this can be a really sensitive visit for a number of folks, especially if anybody actually spent some time back here during the war, where approximately 2 million Cambodians were killed under the Khmer Rouge regime. This, of course, is, as I mentioned, a more emotional experience. Khmer Rouge, this regime that ruled Cambodia, operated under the leadership of Marxist dictator Pol Pot from 75 to 1979. And Pol Pot's attempts to create a Cambodian master race through social engineering ultimately led to all these deaths. Those killed were either executed as enemies of the regime or died from starvation, disease, or overwork. Historically, this period is also known, of course, as the killing fields of the Cambodian genocide. So this is an opportunity if you want to do this. If you don't want to do this, there's plenty of time to just kind of enjoy some free time in Phnom Penh, or hang out on the ship, hang out on the sun deck and hop in the pool and just do your own thing. Udong, the Buddhist blessing ceremony. Here's an opportunity to go here as well. So from the early 17th century through 1866, Udong served as the royal capital city of Cambodia. Its main attraction, of course, is the Udong Mountain, which boasts of several historic and significant religious structures, such as what we're looking at right here. And today, Udong is a place of pilgrimage for Cambodians. And while here, you can be treated to this memorable Buddhist blessing ceremony. We'll also have some free time afterwards to go around, explore, and just kind of look close up at this beautiful artwork that we see here, walk around some of the gardens, and even interact with some of the monks as well. This, I think, is a highlight also if you're looking for those really unique moments. Oknotni Silk Village, located on the lush banks of the Mekong River. This island is known for its rich tradition of the silk weaving that's been preserved for centuries here by these families that have been here for, again, centuries. And here, there's actually about 5 different villages made up of 200 different families that are in this particular area. But here we get to see how they go through the entire silk making process, from farming the silkworms to placing them in bowls, letting them kind of build their cocoons, which takes up to like 47 to 50 days. They then take the cocoons, which are then boiled. This is how they then are able to kind of deep thread them and threads that we're seeing right here. You're going to be able to pick up some beautiful silk garments along the way at some different stops, but none will be as unique as this village right here, because all the other ones are going to be machine made. This is where they're actually still making them by hand. So this is a place that I would definitely encourage you to hold off. This may be where you want to purchase your silk goods to bring back home. This right here, Siem Reap, is going to be kind of where we end our cruise portion anyway. So we'll kind of stop here. We then make our way into Siem Reap, this beautiful city of with both French and colonial and Chinese style architecture that we see right here. Plenty to explore in this area, from museums, souvenir shopping, restaurants, an opportunity just to kind of take in the all the different local things, Aspara dancing that we've seen as well. But a lot of people ask, what is it like when you're, on the cruise and you kind of transfer from Vietnam into Cambodia, or vice versa if you're traveling the other direction? And we keep it as seamless as possible. Basically, in the day that we make it into Siem Reap for this particular one, everybody hands over their documents to the cruise managers, who basically handles everything for you as you get to go out on your tours and kind of enjoy some of these things. They get everything in place for you and basically hand them to you at the end of the trip. So it's really, really seamless. Of course, you just need proper documentation for this. Angkor Wat, I don't think anything prepares you for moments just like this. One reason I got into travel, I've been in travel now for 26 years. I've always appreciated geography. I've enjoyed history, and seen some of those pictures in books since I was a young kid. And then there's those moments where, for the very first time, your eyes are going to lay sight on that thing that you've seen like 20, 30 years ago, just in books and on some different documentaries and things. And I think Angkor Wat is really one of those places, the temple city, which is basically what it translates to. We'll have an opportunity to visit here. It's just a short way out of Siem Reap, so we'll give you some free time in addition to the local guided tour there. If you recognize this picture, and if you've seen the movie Tomb Raiders, this is actually where a number of the scenes were filmed from that movie. There also Angkor Archaeological Park. We'll have an opportunity to stop here as well. But I just love the way this vegetation has literally just grown over the temple itself. There was a similar experience, not actually right here, but I'll use another experience where there's some temples. This actually happened to be kind of down in the Tulum mine region, but some of these places have the same type of thing where you may walk up along one side of this area and it kind of looks like a hill. You'll see forest and things growing over it, and then you get to the other side and you see that it looks just like this. I mean, the vegetation has literally taken over some of these different places. Holland Bay. So then we find ourselves in Holland Bay, and it's known for its, these beautiful emerald waters that we see right here, thousands of these towering limestone islands that just dot the entire area. It's absolutely gorgeous. Junk boat tours, sea kayak expeditions are going to take visitors to, throughout some of these different areas to kind of explore. We'll have an opportunity to spend some time and even do an overnight on this beautiful ship here, where we can take in some additional things like scuba diving, there's rock climbing, there's other hiking in the area, there's Cat Ba National Park that we get to do. There's these things, forgive me, I don't remember the name, but these different little limestone like islands that we see out there. A number of them have like this opening that kind of goes underneath it, and then you kind of go through, underneath it and through it to this kind of enclosed little area where it's this inside little like room of a pool of this water. So that might be something to experience also. But this is an absolutely gorgeous area. I definitely encourage you to also do these pre and posts that we've been talking about. And, that's kind of an overview on the Mekong. Certainly, I'll be happy to take some questions. I did want to finish it up, and this part will be fairly brief, and kind of the current state of the business, because we recognize that, listen, we can't go out and travel right now. But one thing that I did want to talk about, a couple of things I want to talk with you about in terms of the company itself. We are incredibly stable. We're financially stable. We are completely debt-free. Not everybody out there can say that right now. Even 3 of our ships that we have set for delivery next year are completely paid off. Just several years ago, we took on some additional financial partnerships. If you've heard of Chaparras Group, Peugeot family, Rothschild Group, just to name a few. So we're financially stable. Several years ago, or sometime back, actually, I think it was the volcanoes in Iceland that actually impacted a number of our sailings to a degree. And we kind of looked at our business and said, there may come a time when we need to really prepare that we may not be able to operate. We did not know that it was going to be COVID, but as it turns out, it was COVID. So we're set and financially set to go well into next year. Travel Waiver Plus, though, this isn't something that you can actually take advantage of to protect your travel investment if we're looking at departures January 1st of 2021 and beyond. And it basically It's in addition or separate from our regular cancellation cruise protection plan, which would allow you to cancel for a covered reason. Travel Waiver Plus would allow you to cancel virtually for any reason up to 24 hours prior to departure. And the way it basically works is that if you were to cancel for some reason close into sailing, there's normally a certain percentage that is applied as a cancellation fee. But rather than being docked that cancellation fee, we'll take that percentage and actually retain that amount as a future cruise credit. So it protects the full value of your trip. The residual amount, if there's a balance due to you, then we'll go ahead and refund that based on the way that you paid that to us. But again, just some different things that you can have some peace of mind. And then this part, I'm really happy to share because it talks about just kind of those rays of hope, the idea of remaining hopeful that, when we get back on the waters, there's some good things to look forward to. We actually have a ship, the Ama Christina, who's sailing presently in Europe. We are the only American river cruise line with the ship presently sailing. It's doing 2 separate round-trip sailings from Cologne, Germany, doing a 6-day, 5-night sailing there. And it's being chartered by a German company called Ehoy. And the reason I share this with you, though, is because along with everybody else, when COVID came on the scene, we started planning, how can we protect this experience? What are things going to look like? What things do we have to ensure that we have in place? What adjustments and modifications do we need to ensure that we have? So we now being able to put those things into practice. We've been operating since June 6th. July 5th. Doing a number of these sailings. In fact, a number of guests have actually booked a second cruise, and there's a lot of people that have even booked a third cruise. There have been no situations on board, but basically we have, limited it to no more than 100 guests on board. The shore tours are no more than between 10 to maximum of 15 guests. In addition to that, with our shore tours, all of our guests are always outfitted with an AudioVox headset. So that means they don't have to be huddled around the tour guide. They can be 40, 50 feet away listening to everything that's being shared, but safely distancing, right? We've also set up in the many of the different public areas this nice clean plexiglass. So again, it still isn't invasive of the regular experience you can have. You can still talk to the guests on either side of the sitting area here. You're going to find these plexiglasses also in front of our concierge station and some other areas. But again, what do we need to do to ensure the safety, not only of our crew, but all of our guests? So if you've had a chance to go to a restaurant anytime recently, you know that when you're walking throughout the public areas and, using the restroom or walking in and out, you're going to have your mask on. But when you're sitting down, you can take your mask off. So it's that same sort of experience on board. The last part that I'll mention is that, this is something we didn't even know that we'd have to speak to one day, but it's really relevant now. With the design of all of our ships, every individual stateroom, every public room has their own individual air and heating coiling system. So what that basically means is that it's air in and air out of that specific room. So you don't have to worry about the idea of air being circulated throughout the entire ship. Again, that's something really big and important to note right now while people are obviously concerned for some of the things that are out there right now too. But again, I share this to let you know we've taken those things. They're now in practice, and the response so far has been absolutely amazing. We also have a current offer in place. So if you're interested through Joan's association with AmaWaterways and some of her connections, you can save up to $1,500 on a number of select departures, or you can even look at some free air on some dates. In addition to that, there's up to $300 onboard credit on a number of select departures. And if you are interested in booking by November 4th, you can receive an additional $100 savings per person. So a number of these things are combinable. Certainly reach out to Joan. She can look for the best offer for you and make sure you're getting the best value out there.
And Richard, those are for European sailings, and I think those are for 2021 sailings, those offers.
We do have a few that are also on the Mekong, not exclusively for Europe. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, but I can send that to you also, and it's got all the details if you want to share that with your audience afterwards. Whoops. And then I did my best to kind of stick to the highlights. We don't want to give every detail away, but hopefully that was enough of the beautiful images and some of the commentary to just let you know how special this destination is. Joan, I don't know if you've seen any chat messages come in or if you have anything else that you may want to add.
I can't view any questions. I don't know if you can see questions on your end there. I haven't seen anything come through.
Let me see. Yeah. I don't see any specific questions actually right now. I did get somebody that noted that they love Ama, so thank you so much for for sharing that. Let's see here. Maybe there's something else. Somebody said, "Oh my gosh, is that a scorpion in the bottle?" And I believe it was a scorpion in the bottle. The snake one that we were looking at right there.
Yeah, going back to that slide, I mean, I love watching Andrew Zimmern. He has the TV show. He's a well-known chef here in the States, but he has a TV show where he goes and eats bizarre foods. But that would be a hard pass for me. Richard, you can have my share of the snake wine because I'm not touching that one.
And you love wine so much. I'm surprised at that, Joan.
Yeah,
But
I
not
like
that
wine
one.
that's produced from a scene like this rather than something with a snake brewing in the bottle.
Exactly. There you go. I hear you. I'm probably right there with you. But let me take one more closer look. I'm not sure if there's anything you want to add while I'm double checking if there's any other questions here.
No, I'd like to thank everybody who's taken the time to join us for the webinar this evening. We will be doing a couple more in the weeks coming up. In a couple of weeks, and I'm not sure if I have the sequence correct, we're going to be doing one about sailing on the Danube, specifically on the Ama Magna, which is the newest, well, one of the newest ships of AmaWaterways. And it's basically a river cruise ship that is twice as wide as the conventional longship. I had the opportunity to sail on it last year, and it's a transformative experience for river cruising if you've been on a regular river cruise ship before. And one of the features that they have on the Ama Magna is that they have what's called a concierge golf program. So on that particular itinerary on the Danube, guests have the opportunity to golf at either 4 or 5 different world-renowned European golf courses. It's really an amazing program. So we're going to be having a webinar in a couple of weeks to highlight that sailing. And then 2 weeks after that, we're going to have one to highlight what it's like to sail during Christmas markets. So Richard is my co-host and colleague for both of those. So if either of those are itineraries or programs that might interest you, I would urge you to reach out to me so we can make sure that you have the registration link for one of those. And if you have any questions about the Mekong or any AmaWaterways travel in general, please do reach out to me. This is my contact information right there. And I will mention I am personally hosting a sailing on AmaWaterways. The itinerary is called The Essence of Burgundy and Provence. We'll be sailing in the spring of 2022. And currently there's a very nice promotion on that, actually till the end of the year, where there's a $750 per person discount off the regular price. So if that's something that is appealing to you, please reach out to me. I'd love to have you sail with me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I don't see any other questions. Somebody did comment that they've been to Siem Reap and they absolutely love it. So we'd love to welcome you back with AmaWaterways. But I think that about ties it up. So I just want to end once again with a thank you, just as we began the presentation. We look forward to welcoming you back sometime very, very soon. But everybody be well, be safe, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Take care.